Ahoy! Welcome to the heavy metal.
Shipadel.
Yeah, we're on a ship today, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, you can hear the seagulls
Oh, listen to them.
and
Wow.
the creaking of our ship.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what else? The
Well,
waves.
No, I'm gonna put that's already in there in the
Oh,
background.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's the waves in the background. Forget what I said.
Yeah. Anyways, at the Shipadel today, since we are on the high seas, we've got a very special guest.
Oh, yeah. They've just laid down the planks and invaded our ship here.
Yep, they have. And coming on board,
Is
Chris.
from
Ahab.
Ahab. Oh,
We've been huge fans.
great, man.
Absolutely great legends in the funeral doom scene.
Doom.
Doom. Funeral doom.
Oh, yeah. Since 2008, we've been listening to them. Probably even earlier.
I think I heard
We saw them
earlier.
live in 2008.
Yeah, and we were obsessed with, I think it was the first album that I first heard.
Yes, listening in our parents' basement with cigars in a smoky room with
Yeah.
some rum.
Before we started this interview, we did show Chris a photo of ourselves. I think it was 2008.
Yeah, something like that. We were sitting down.
We both got pedo mustaches, by the way.
Yeah, well, we were what, 17?
Yeah, and we had,
No, a little bit older than that.
I think older than that. I think we were like ending high school.
Because
and-
we were drinking and smoking, so.
and listening to Ahab, which was the most
blast.
freeing full blast.
Parents' basement.
Yeah. For some reason, in dress shirts and pants.
Yeah, because you got to be classy, you know.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, huge fans of Ahab, and we're very honored to have Chris here. Chris, why don't you introduce yourself for the listeners of the Shipadel?
Good evening. It's Chris from Germany. I'm a guitar player and the guy who writes all the lyrics from Ahab.
Yeah, I know that you guys draw so much inspiration from so many amazing stories and sort of fictional narratives, and they're fucking epic. And a lot of people, I just want to say, think it's easy that if you have like a topic, let's say if it's a book that's already been written or something historical that's happened, that it's super easy to write the lyrics. It's not, especially to make them sound good.
The interpretation that goes into it.
It's everything.
It's putting your own spin on it while respecting the author.
Exactly.
But I mean, moving from the lyrics, just talking about really the riffs. And obviously there's been a progression from quite, reverb heavy, fairly straightforward atmospheric riffing of the first album to going to a little bit more of, little progressive elements, adding a lot of cleans, a lot of transitions between light and dark in the guitars, adding in some elements of post-rock through the later albums. So what was behind this, Chris?
Well, that's always like a difficult question for a musician, because I mean you're in all of that, and I mean you write some music, and I think you don't really think of, now I'm doing some post metal or post rock or whatever. I think it's just, at least for me, the preferences that you listen to at that very moment. And I mean, most of the time when you write some lyrics or you write some music, you're inspired by someone, even if it's like subconscious. I mean, you're always inspired by probably something from your early childhood, or something you just heard the other day and you really liked, so it just happens. And I think I don't think we ever had a real decision to sound like that or like that. We just did something and it sounded good to our ears, and that's what is on the albums nowadays. So I think there's no deeper story behind that.
Yeah, and I think that when you go with something that sounds good and you don't put a label on it, it ends up becoming that much better just because it's so authentic. And I think a lot of bands end up doing, trying to pigeonhole themselves because they like a certain genre, but maybe, potentially they have talents in a different subgenre, for example, that just sound amazing, but, they haven't explored it. Having said that, you guys have this very sort of free-flowing evolution, as it were. Like, going specifically from that sort of classic textbook doom to that progressive sort of element, the post rock. In terms of like your current inspirations and stuff like that, do you want to speak a little bit more? There's some great artists or bands out there that are currently sort of inspiring where Ahab might be going in the future.
Oh, well, it's hard to say. I mean, lately we've been, lately is the wrong word probably, but the last years we went back to some extent to our youth, and we've been listening when we were driving to some gigs or something. We were listening to stuff like Alice in Chains, the old ones and the new ones. The new ones are pretty good albums, I think. Stuff like that, and of course, there's much death metal still around at the guys within the band, and Daniel, for example, is very much into stuff like Porcupine Tree as well, and he's lately very much into progressive rock and progressive metal. So and for me, my taste is really eclectic. So I happen to listen to, like, for example, Kendrick Lamar, or the other day I will listen to I don't know, Blood Incantation or something like that. So, or
does that mean we're gonna get a first time ever Ahab rap coming up?
Not really.
We already have Hailstone for that.
Okay. But actually we met one rapper in Cologne some years ago, and I think he's really, really big now in America.
The German guy.
No. Chance the Rapper. I think
Chance. Oh wow. Okay. I think, isn't he Canadian?
Yeah, he was on the road in a really small tour bus, and we played the other night, and we met him early mornings. So that was fun, and he wanted us to do a photo with us. I don't think we have it anymore. Probably would be worth something today.
Chance the Rapper listening to Ahab. I'm gonna have to message his agent.
It was really nice guy.
It's important to listen to kind of every genre, because every genre has really good ideas, whether it's album composition.
Yeah.
Of course, in rap, it's lyricism about different topics. So I think it's quite good that many bands look to inspiration from across genres.
Yeah, and I think especially with Ahab, I mean, like what I was saying earlier, it was 15 years ago, I think, in Calgary, where we saw you guys, and I think Cornelius played the first ever Funeral Doom drum solo. There were some technical issues, and he was just ripping it away on the drums. I mean, did you guys ever dream that you'd sort of be with Ahab all over the world when the band first started?
Well, no. When we started out, I was the guy who said we're never gonna play live, and because I didn't expect anything from Ahab. I remember asking Max of Napalm Records back then if he was interested in putting out this record, and we were like, well, for $500 it's okay. And still it's our best-selling record, the first one. It sold over, I think, I'm not sure, but I think like 15,000 albums since then, and that was a pretty good deal for Max back then.
A lot for niche genre.
Yeah, and I mean, Calgary was something memorable, because it was our first time being overseas with a band, and at that night we got kicked out of the hotel, because I think it was because of Kopi Klani, because that was a weird night, really.
What did they do?
No, I think it was the local promoter. It was a mother of a band that played there, and she booked a separate room where she thought it was a good idea to do party, but the hotel manager didn't know. And we were in a hotel room, and I mean, I think we had a beer or something, then went down to smoke a cigarette, and then some security guys came and threw out all of the bands, but Korpiklani. I don't know how they managed, but
they're happy little boozers. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then we were out, and I think the promoter got us another hotel, and she was like, "Don't tell him you got thrown out of this other hotel." And I mean, we were really, really young back then, and it was adventurous.
Probably a bit different now. You're probably over that hassle, I suppose, of having to run around different hotels.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fans definitely appreciate it. I was gonna say though, you guys have sort of evolved throughout this entire process and the different albums. And I know that when I was just mentioning sort of Cornelius's drum solo, in an interview, he did say that when you guys did the live album, he wanted to go back to sort of the original stuff that you guys have done, which is a little bit more textbook, and evolve the style that he was sort of playing. Not necessarily saying that anything was wrong, but just evolve, because he's a perfectionist and he wants the sound that he wants at that moment. Do you find yourself in that sort of same realm where you look at the album now, the first album, and you think to yourself like, oh, I would have done this differently and that differently? And if so, I mean, if you do another live album 5 years from now for the first album, are you going to change it up again?
No, I think that really was Cornelius baby, because there's a story behind all that. When we first started, I mean, it was only Daniel and me, and the guy who later joined Ahab and got thrown out, I think 1 year after that. Actually, Daniel and me programmed the drums, and I think Daniel and Stefan back then, the first Stefan we had in the band, they decided that they wanted to have real drums on the album, and that's where Corny joined in. And I didn't even know. They just gave me the tapes and said, "Now that's it." And I was like, "Oh man, I really love the stuff we programmed." So, but even Corny, like some years later, he wasn't really satisfied with what he played on the Call of the Red Sea. I mean, of course, it's a classic nowadays. You wouldn't want to do anything different on that album. I wouldn't want to do anything different on that album, actually. So the live album actually was, we wanted to record the Call of the Red Sea on the Roadburn Festival, which is, I'm pretty sure you know the Roadburn Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it didn't work out because our computer, the click track, went crazy, and it was not the best gig we played. And we played this show again in Jena, and the guy on the recording desk, he just pressed record, and afterwards he gave us a tiny stick and said, "Here you are." And that's how that came to life. And so I'm absolutely fine with the original recording, but I also like the live album, because we do play it differently nowadays than back then.
That's bass as well. I heard it's just a little bit more
different.
nuanced.
Yeah,
and a couple of more interesting creative lines as well. Not so much following whatever the other instruments are doing. So it's cool. It's different. And again, like you said, the first one is a classic. It's the first thing we heard, of course, so it holds that nostalgic place.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely going to be the first.
I love to hear, that updated version. I'm glad we got even more Ahab, at least in some form, in the past few years, which is great.
Great.
One thing we were going to say.
Yeah, actually, we talked about the lyrics as well. And obviously, you're a big reader. And we saw you were auctioning something precious to yourself for Ukraine benefit. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, when I mean, I guess you were moved the same way when the war started in Ukraine, and it was. I mean, obviously, it's way closer to the place where I live, and I never could imagine that Germany or some other lands in Europe would have to send weapons to another country in Europe, and it was crushing. And nowadays we all have kids, of course, and if you see like what they have to witness, these young guys and these small children, it was really moving for me. And I mean, what can you do but sending money over to some organizations that help. And so I decided to auction my first book I used for The Oath. Obviously, I first read the German one, of course, and afterwards I read the English one for yeah, I mean, to write lyrics. And of course I stole some lines as well, of course, back then. And so I thought that would probably be something precious for some fans, and they would happy to spend some money on it. And yeah, I mean, it was weird that, I mean, it was an old book. It wasn't even new or something. It was old back then when I bought it for some euros. And I think it went for 360 bucks or something like that. And that's weird. And it's great, of course, but I never thought that would go for so much money.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show you sort of the community, galvanizing, coming together. I mean, yeah, we did an episode as well, sort of, promoting the Ukrainian metal and sort of some of the people that are also helping that aren't from necessarily the Ukraine, but are donating, like Kanan and Feber, who made a song "Stop the War," and he was donating that as well.
Yep.
To make sure it gets to civilians on the ground as well. So yeah, it's good to see that the community is sort of getting together and helping out.
Yeah, and I think it's such a big metal hotspot as well. I think really got the metal community together to help out. So it's brilliant to hear bands from Germany already join in as well.
Yeah, sure.
And so, I mean, based on that, since we're talking about sea-based literature, I was wondering, what other book do you think deserves an album? Maybe not coming up or maybe later, but we're talking about, I think you tried before Jules Verne, but you couldn't quite get it to work. What other books could work?
Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment we were in the studio and record the Little Mermaid. It's not that heavy, but it's
close.
It's close. No, actually, we just did we gave it another try, and it worked out this time. So it's Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, next album.
Wow. Okay.
Amazing.
That sort of dips into the next question I was going to say, but it kind of connects to it. But I mean, do you guys feel the pressure to create albums in like a specific time? Just because, between sort of, Call of the Wretched Sea and Divinity of the Ocean, there's quite a time gap. But I think for a lot of artists, I'd rather you guys wait. Take 10 years. I don't care. I can create a masterpiece. But I feel like there's so many bands now. They're like, oh, I have to make another album next year. I have to make another album the year after that.
Yeah, it depends on the label too. There's label pressures, things like that.
Yeah, no, I'd rather you just take your time, make me something beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't feel any pressure anymore right now. So everything's fine. But yes, of course, we did feel the pressure to record another album, just because we wanted to do another album, but we didn't manage to, because, I mean, we as I said, we all have families right now, and the only one that's a professional musician is Connie, actually. and the rest has like regular jobs, everyday lives. So I think that was the problem, because we wanted to play live, and if you want to play live, you have to rehearse, and if you rehearse for a show, you don't write new music or rehearse new music. So yeah, and I'm a big friend of deadlines, but the others are not. At least
Oh,
not Daniel doesn't like deadlines, but it was always with Ahab. If we didn't have any deadline, we didn't do another album. So we had another deadline, and there will be another album.
so you're saying that for the fans, we should yell for specific dates when we want albums?
Yes.
Probably.
You've heard it here.
No, we've been in studio lately, and we just finished recordings. So yeah, there will be another album quite soon. Nah, not quite soon, in January next year.
Not long to go.
No.
Only what, 9 months?
Has that been announced anywhere else, by the way, that it's in January?
Well, not really.
Okay, so it's an exclusive that we're gonna. Are you allowed to say that, or are we gonna have to cut that?
Yes, of course. Yeah, you're
Okay.
allowed to say that. So you're actually the first. Yeah, I think you're the first ones to hear that, and to. I mean, of course, we did some hinting on our Facebook pages, but
It warms my heart.
Exclusive. It's an exclusive.
You mentioned everyone's got families. Was that a little bit of the inspiration behind the amazing fun kids designs that you have in some of your merch? And you really have some amazing merch too, that obituary Ahab crossover long sleeve, the yellow whale finder general bag. There's so many cool ideas.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the inspiration there?
Yeah, we like to have fun, of course, and I mean, these little kid stuff was, I think it was just some fun posting on Facebook, and suddenly everyone was like, "Oh, you have to do a T-shirt for that," and we decided not to do adult T-shirts out of it, but like kids T-shirts and baby shirts and stuff like that. And it's a nice gimmick. And the obituary stuff, I'm not sure, but I think that was some kind of my idea. Most of the time, stuff like that happens in rehearsal room when you had one too many, and yeah. So that's, and of course, I mean, speaking of the other merch stuff, I like the creativity in merch. So I don't like just like the next skull on a shirt, for example. There has to be something to it. Yeah. So that's just, I think.
You made Short sad because he loves skulls.
I literally am wearing a shirt with a skull.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm wearing a red Bull Thrower shirt. That's just different.
It's 8 sizes too big for you.
It's red. It's red, and that makes it way better. I agree. There's too many black shirts. There's too many generic designs out there. So I mean, we from time to time, some designers send emails with links to their pages where you can just like buy some designs or something like that. And most of the times I think that's not Ahab. Ahab would be something that comes out of our minds, and an illustrator does it solely for Ahab, not just like, you know what I mean. Yeah, absolutely. And the Shipadel here is rocking a bit. I think we're gonna hit some rocks here. This is a bit of trouble, Chris. I won't alarm you. We might be shipwrecked soon. But we can save 3 things. One of 3 things: you got your bandmates, or supplies of food, or the last 13 episodes of the Heavy Metal Citadel on a hard drive. What do you choose?
I have to disappoint you. It won't be the hard drive.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, got it.
Of course, I would get my bandmates with me because they can entertain me, and if I run out of food, I can eat them.
Wow, that is so smart. See, you totally know when you're talking to someone from Ahab because he's already thought this through.
Exactly.
He's been shipwrecked before.
Yeah.
He's a smart man.
And I guess, Chris, you've got you can send a message out to every single electronic device across the world for 10 seconds. What is the message that you send?
Holy shit!
Good message.
Yes, probably.
Imagine it.
Okay, I should have thought of this before the interview. Probably Douglas Adams or something like that. So long and thanks for all the fish or something like that. Probably. That would be.
Oh yeah, what is that? Is that that's Douglas Adams? Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, indeed. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Oh, I don't know
That's a good one.
I don't know the fish one though.
You didn't? I'm not sure if it.
It's been a while since I read it.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I know the long dark tea time of the soul, but
Yeah,
and the Hitchhiker's Guide. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's the third one of the Hitchhiker's Guide. So long and thanks for all the fish.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's the one where the dolphins leave Earth.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's actually a good one.
Yeah, good basis for the the seventh album.
Oh, okay. Easy now.
Well,
Don't give the man a deadline, please. He's already got a new one.
2028.
Okay, so what we're gonna go through now is a little bit of a quick fire round. So this is gonna throw you off a little bit. So I do apologize, and I'm gonna cue myself in for the quick fire round intro. Cool, and we'll do that in post. Would you rather be a merman or a pirate? This is the most generic and stupid question I could think of, and I would decided to ask you.
Merman, of course.
Well, yeah.
He's a holy man.
Well, you could
Pirates
say
are pirates. Yeah, well,
And speaking of pirate, if you were a pirate and you were sent to your death, walking the plank or keel hauled?
Ooh, that's a shitty question. I think, but the one or the other way, I will be eaten by sharks, so it doesn't matter really.
Pretty much.
same. Playing to 1 million people or a small venue with close friends?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think I'll take the 1 million people because it's not so close, and I tend to be a bit shy on stage, and the more people there are, the less faces you see.
Wow, that's a good line. I'm going to use that somewhere.
I'm sure your friends will be up front, be like, "Come on!"
They can be
Play
in
faster.
front row.
Those are good friends up there, yeah. And Edgar Allan Poe or Herman Melville. You have to choose one.
I think I'd go for Edgar Allan Poe because I love science fiction, and this would be closer to science fiction.
And also, I love him more, and he's more dark and brooding,
Yeah, you got
and he's excellent.
varieties as well. I guess if you're stuck with one for the rest of your life.
I think Moby Dick has some length in writing. I mean, there are whole chapters about whales. I mean, I used to study biologies when I was younger, so it was kind of interesting how much how can I put that, bullshit he wrote about whales. But yes, I think, I mean, the story of Moby Dick is great for sure, but you have to really like to read it.
Yeah.
You want to read that because it's not an easy book, I think.
One final sort of little tidbit question here for you. You have one album you have to listen to, and right after that, you're going to be marched to the gallows pole to hang. What album do you choose?
And they will allow you to listen to the whole thing.
The whole, but only once, and to the whole thing.
Oof. I think I Yesterday, I just listened to Esoteric Pernicious Enigma, and I really like it still. And so I would choose that.
You know, I forgot who it was, but someone recently said, what was the album that they said? That
Bell Witch.
Bell Witch. That's what it was.
Super long.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pernicious Enigma were at least 2 CDs, so it was very long.
Plenty of time to contemplate the fate.
Now,
Excellent.
We're just about to hit the short, Chris. This is, it's coming to the end here of the podcast.
Yeah, we're going to basically look like the front cover of
Divinity of Oceans.
Divinity of Oceans, essentially.
In a second here.
Yeah.
Any other things you want to say to the fans?
Of course, read more books, at least more than I read nowadays, because I don't have that much time. And of course, read everything of Jules Verne, and of course 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is a great book.
We cannot wait. I'll actually take you up on that, because I think I read that in school when I was quite young. So
10.
It is a fantasy children's book.
It is.
In some ways.
Yeah, but you don't grasp.
Yeah, you don't understand it as a kid. So perfect in preparation for the new album. Guys, check them out. You mentioned, Facebook's a great source, and I saw you guys are active on Instagram as well. Is there any other website that people can go to?
Ours is ahab-doom.com.
Excellent, guys. So you heard it here first, and an exclusive as well about the album coming up. Chris, thank you so much for joining us, mate. And yeah, we're going to make sure that the listeners get out there, start buying some sick-ass Ahab swag.
Yeah.
And just start listening to more.
Thank you very much for having me, and have a great day.
Cheers.
Cheers, bud.
Chris.
Thank you.